Okay, try this again. Surface area of a sphere. The first thing you need is the formula for surface area, which is area equals 4 pi r squared. So when I said it's a lot like when we were doing volume and the whole volume and the perimeter and the area, it's just a matter of using the formula. It's very basic, okay? So on your worksheet, the only thing you have to watch, and we had this happen a lot last week, is look at the equation, right? It is 4 pi radius, which means if you're given two drawings, one that looks like this, aren't bad circles, not great, but not bad. If you're given one that looks like this, right? And then you're given one that looks like this, and you're asked to find the surface area of both of these. So we're going to do that. On your worksheets, when I say show your work, whether it's on Cami or it's on paper, what I mean is the first thing you're going to write out is 4 pi, and then you're going to put what you're using for radius, right? Because that's how when I look at it, I can see where you went off if you didn't get something right. So in this case, our radius is 4. So it would be 4 squared. This needs to be your first line that you write, because you're writing, this is the showing your work part. There's not much to show on these problems, but you do have to show this line, because if you get it wrong, I need to know if you used a 4 or if you used something else. Because once you get to this point, punch it in your calculator, okay? And I think your worksheet says, let me look, if it says what to round to. Surface area, it says round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. Okay, so your worksheet says round to the nearest hundredth. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my calculator 4 pi, and you can say times pi or not. It doesn't matter. If you put 4 and pi next to each other, it's going to do it. Then you're going to put times 4 squared, and you can either just punch in 16 or you can punch in 4 squared. It does not matter. And you're going to get 201.0619298, right? That's a lot of numbers. But all we need, because our assignment says round to the hundredth, right? The hundredth. So I need 201.06, and then the next decimal is a 1. So I'm going to write it, but then I'm going to show you. I'm going to round to the hundredth. And this is the hundredth right here. And to round to the hundredth, I take the 1 past it and I use it to round. 1 is lower than 5, so that means I leave it alone. So you wouldn't put the 1, it would just be 0.06. And that's rounding to the hundredth. You have to use the next digit to tell you whether to round up or down. Since it was a 1, we leave the 6 a 6. Now, the last thing always is what? Feet. Good job, Cole. Feet. We always label these. Feet what? Good. Why is it squared? Because it's 4 feet, right? We get the 4 from here, and we get the 4 here. It's 4 feet times 4 feet, so it's feet squared. The reason in volume it was always cubed is because it was height times radius times radius. So it was feet times feet times feet. Or radius times radius times radius, which is 3 of them. So in volume, it's cubed. In these, in surface area, it's squared. Okay? Now, if you have one like the second example, we'll make this example 1 and this example 2. Again, area equals 4 pi. Now, I'm going to write my radius. You have to be careful here. The information given on example number 2 is the diameter. Yeah. Exactly. Good. So what would I put next, Cole? Good, 5 squared. You have to have this line written out so that if you have the wrong answer, and don't put this part in your notes because I'm writing the wrong answer on purpose. But if you did this, you're going to get the wrong answer. And if you don't have that line written down and you just have the wrong answer, I don't know what you did. I don't know why you have the wrong answer. I can't assume. So this is why it's important to actually write this line out. So we put 5 squared because that's half of the diameter. And again, in your calculator, you're just going to punch in 4 pi times, and you can either put 5 squared in your calculator or you can just punch in 25. If you can square it in your mind, that's fine. And we get area equals 159. Now again, let's look at the rounding. I want to round to the hundredth, so I go one additional out. That's a 9. That 9 is higher than 5, so it's going to cause my 5 in that hundredth spot. It's going to cause it to round up to a 6. Now, you do not have to write this part in your homework. You don't have to do that little step I just did of going out too far and then coming back. I'm just doing that to show you how I'm rounding. And then how are we going to name this or label this? Good, feet squared. Okay, so honestly, the hardest part of this, and I say hardest, it's not hard, it just takes a little bit of concentration, is remembering, is the picture giving you radius or diameter? If it's giving you radius, use that. If it's giving you diameter, cut that in half. Now, what else you'll see in the stations around the room is, what if you are given the surface area equals 275 inches squared? Not quite. Wait a minute. And you're asked to find the radius. Okay? So if you have that, you still need the equation. Area equals 4 pi r squared, right? You need that formula. Yes, sir. Well, yes, you're right, but first we need to plug in what we need to plug in. What do we need to put in place of the A? Yeah, we need, because this is what A equals, we need to plug that in for A. And since we're solving for R, we need to do everything we can to slowly get R by itself. This is multiplication and multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So to get the 4 and the pi off of that side, I'm going to divide by 4 pi. And then on this side, I'm also going to divide by 4 pi. And again, right, use your calculator. 275 divided by 4 pi. And I'm going to use my parentheses here because I want to make sure, remember when I said when you're punching a fraction into your calculators, you have to tell your calculator that this is one thing. Because if you don't, it's going to do it, it possibly will do it in a different order. So 275 divided by parentheses 4 pi. Close the parentheses. So in my calculator, what I actually punched in, you don't have to put this in your notes, but just so you know what I just punched into the calculator. I punched in 275 divided by parentheses 4 pi in parentheses equals. Okay? And when I hit equals, I get r squared on this side because the 4 and the pi is what I got rid of. Leaves r squared over there. So on this side, I got 21.88. Is that my answer? Did I solve for the radius? No. Right now, all I've solved for is radius squared. So, let's erase that just because I was showing you what you put in your calculator. How do I get rid of a square? Square root. Remember, the opposites always cross things out. So, if I take the square root of this side, I also have to take the square root of that side because math is fair. The square and the square root cancel out, giving me my r all by itself over here. And in my calculator, I'm going to put underneath the radical 21.88 equals, good, 4.68 what? Feet. So my radius here equals 4.68 feet. Now, what if I had asked you what diameter was? You still have to do all of this work, but now what? To go from radius to diameter, you want it bigger, so you would multiply it by 2. So that would be 9.36. And that would also be feet. So regardless of whether you're asked for radius or diameter, you still do it the same. You solve for radius, and then once you have radius, if the question asks for radius, good. If the question asks for diameter, double it. Okay? Because the diameter is double the size of the radius. And if you start out with diameter, Cole, that's when you would divide by 2 because you're trying to get to a smaller, from the big diameter, smaller, divide it. If you're going from the little radius to the big diameter, you multiply it. All right, any questions? All right, so for those of you at home, click load on the bottom of your screen. That will open your assignment in Kami. The only thing I want you to do as far as showing your work, I'll just say it one more time, this right here, that is showing your work. Line 1 tells me what you used in the radius spot. Let me make that bigger. Line 2 tells me your answer. Okay, line 1 tells me what you used in radius. Line 2 tells me your answer, and your answer should always be labeled. Okay, and then also, for those of you at home, you will need to scroll to the very bottom of your page on Kami, click the plus button, and add a page to your assignment. When you do that, I will, in the assignment box on Canvas, there are 5 problems that I want you to add to the bottom of your page. So you'll scroll to the bottom once you do page 1, click the plus button, add a page. I don't care if it's blank or lined. Add a page to the bottom of your Kami assignment. Do the 5 problems that I put in the text box on your assignment page, and then submit it once you've done the Kami page, the printed out page, and the 5 bonus problems that everybody in class will be doing here as well. Okay? Email me if you have any questions.